These are the Premier Supabrites. There's about 6 different colours that you can choose from, and these are the latest ones. As you can see, they're a lovely pink colour, and they're 200 LED lights. The cost of running these is incredibly cheap for a whole Christmas season, let's say 30 days. The cost and the latest costs of electricity, about 35 pence per kilowatt hour, which is the capped rate in October 2022, would be less than 50 pence for the whole season, probably more like 30 pence. Now there's 200 of them, and they stretch over a distance of 16 meters in total. You've got various different chase patterns available, and they're controlled very easily by the press of this button here. But each time we press the button, we get a different chase pattern. And one of those chase patterns is static. So if you, like myself, you quite like to see a static light rather than a flashing light, especially if it's indoors, then you do have the static option on there. And each time you press the button, it will change until you get to the pattern that you want. Now, this system also has a built-in timer on some of the colours, and that is operated quite easily by pressing this button quickly twice, and you'll see that a green light comes on there. Now once that's on, that means that the timer's set and the lights will stay on for 8 hours, and then they will repeat that every 24 hours from the moment you first set it. So if I left these on now, they'd stay on for 8 hours and they would go off, and at exactly the same time tomorrow they would come back on again. Now when they're actually in the timer, you can still choose to change your different sequences. As long as that green light's on, the timer is still on. Now to eliminate that timer, all you do is exactly the same thing again. You press it twice, and what that does is it just means that you're back onto manual. So you literally, if you disconnect this power here, then it'll stop. Otherwise they will continue 24 hours a day if you want. Now the beauty of these lights, let me see if I can find a pattern that we can easily recognize. Static would be good if I can find it. There we go. The beauty of it is if power is disconnected, then there is a memory. So, and not many lights have this, and including Premier ones earlier. So if you're looking at any of these lights and you think, oh, they look cheaper than them ones, it's because it'll be older stock and it doesn't have the memory, and that is crucially important. Because what happens is when we unplug it, and I'm going to try and do this with one hand, we take the power off, you can see when we put it back on again, it remains with that previous setting static. Now to just show that that isn't just because it's the first one, let's move it on to a flash one. Yeah, let's go to that. So that's a twinkle. Let's unplug that now. Let's try and do it with one hand. There we go. Power's gone. Put it back on again, and we're back to twinkle. So you can see we did it twice there, once with static and once with twinkle. And that is really important because there's nothing more annoying than having your lights all running right in the right setting, and then all of a sudden you switch them off at night, you come back the next day and they've changed, and you've got to go rooting around the back of the Christmas tree or wherever they are to try and find the button to press. You don't want that. And that is so important to remember when you're shopping around for these lights. You've got to buy the latest 2022 version, like ones that we have here for sale, because they have that memory function built in. So they are the Premier Supabrites, 200 of them on a 16 meter, and I think it's an 8 meter lead in. There's quite a generous amount of cable there, and that's another annoying thing that you'll get, especially with some of the cheap Chinese lights. They're not only not very durable, but the cable from the connection from there to there can sometimes be as little as around about half a meter, and that is completely useless, especially if you're using the lights outside, because this has to be inside. These can go outside, this has to be inside. And the other thing to bear in mind with these Premier lights, and they're the best on the market, and this is why we use them, is because they're designed not to corrode. You know, all lights eventually will deteriorate. I've gone through it over the years. We've been decorating properties for so many years now, and we really push the lights to the limit. And we've bought the cheap lights in the past, and they've not even done half a season, and we've had to go out buying again. And trust me, that's not easier. The closer you get to Christmas, you don't want to be doing that. These Premier ones are designed to last and be a bit more durable. They're good lights.